So I wanted to make a quick video today about what it's like living with a connective tissue disease. When I was initially diagnosed with undifferentiated connective tissue disease, the first thing that I did was Google it, which obviously isn't the thing that you're supposed to do. But I did. I Googled it because I didn't know what it was. I wanted to know what I was in for. Obviously, I wanted an explanation for my pain. And I didn't find anything. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack to find something that wasn't either an American article, an article that basically belittled my condition. And even on YouTube, I think I found 1 or 2 videos about it, but they were really outdated. They were quite a few years old, and they didn't quite relate to the severity of symptoms that I was feeling. So I thought it would be a good idea to make my own video for people that are living with UCTD or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome or any sort of chronic pain condition, so that people know that they're not alone. And for people that are newly diagnosed, to be able to see that this is something that you can live with and you can have a good life. You don't have to miss out on all the things that your friends are doing. Especially as a young person, it is quite hard to come to terms with the fact that you can't do a lot of these things. Now, I've been an ambulatory wheelchair user for nearly a year now. I use a wheelchair whenever I leave the house, and it was something that took a really long time for me to come to terms with, because at sort of 19, 20 years old, you don't expect to not be able to have use or a lot of feeling in your legs. But anyway, I'll get into that a little bit later on. Firstly, I just wanted to talk about what UCTD actually is. So UCTD stands for undifferentiated connective tissue disease. So that basically just means that I have, or you potentially have, a connective tissue disease that doesn't currently fit into a specific category. So at the moment, my doctors and my specialists, they think that I have something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. But obviously at this current moment in time, we can't obviously do the testing that's needed for that due to obviously the coronavirus. Everybody's housebound. I mean, I can't leave my house at the moment. So doing all the testing and stuff that would be necessary for that, obviously we can't do that at the moment, which is fair enough. So it basically means what a connective tissue disease is. It's where your antibodies, basically you're attacking the connective tissue in your body. So they're seeing it as a foreign body. So connective tissue is anything from like your bones, your, I want to say gristle, but it's not gristle. The cartilage in your joints, your skin. It can even affect your organs and things like that. It is quite a widespread condition. My current diagnosis is obviously UCTD. It is also linked with polyarthralgia. It's a mouthful. Which explains all of my joint pain. It's basically just a chronic pain condition where you don't have any inflammation, so it can't be put under the arthritis bracket. So polyarthralgia causes obviously chronic joint pain. A lot of the time it is in sort of specific joints. For me, it's mainly in my legs, but it affects all of my main joints in my body, like my shoulders, my elbows, my wrists, knees, hips, ankles, you know the drill. All of those sorts of things. It causes a lot of fatigue, so you're constantly tired, obviously because you're in pain all of the time. And it makes life quite difficult. The other diagnosis that I have, which is obviously related to the connective tissue disease and which you may potentially be dealing with as well, because they do all come hand in hand, is something called the hypermobility spectrum disorder. In my case specifically, it's benign hypermobility syndrome. And that basically just means that your joints, they hyperextend, they don't have the normal range of motion, they overextend. You're basically an overachiever. and that in itself can cause a lot of people pain. A lot of people will live with hypermobility syndrome and not even know that they have it. A lot of gymnasts, dancers, people that are extremely flexible, people like that, a lot of the time will have this sort of condition, but it does vary quite wildly in severity. So myself, I've got quite mild hypermobility, but the hypermobility that I do have causes me a lot of pain because my joints tend to sublux. So subluxation is a partial dislocation. So the joints don't come fully out of place. It will sort of move out slightly, and a lot of time it will just go back in. Obviously with a full dislocation, the joint comes all the way out, and in normal people it doesn't normally go back in by itself. A lot of people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and hypermobility, it will snap back in with a little bit of help, but it is obviously completely out of place. Obviously I don't suffer with those, thankfully. I'm quite lucky. I've had one dislocation in my life, and that was just when I slipped and fell on a couple of steps. So although it wasn't a blunt force trauma as a dislocation normally is, I did have some sort of trauma to be able to have that to happen. So it isn't sort of too much related to the condition. The other thing that I wanted to mention, obviously, because the what is it called? My mind's gone blank. That's another thing. Brain fog. Brain fog is a symptom of chronic pain in general. It's part of fatigue. You forget absolutely everything. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast today. I probably had something planned to do this evening and I now have no idea. I can't even remember what my condition is called. UCTD. That's right. That's what we're talking about today. Come on, Amy, get your life together. Yeah, so brain fog is a massive part of connective tissue disease, because obviously with the chronic pain, your mind's not going to be working properly, you're not going to be thinking about it. A lot of the time you do get a lot of depression, anxiety that goes with it, because you're going to get stressed out with all of these things that you're going through. It is quite a stressful thing to deal with. I've made a couple of notes on it, so I'm just going to check. But yeah, I think that's basically covered everything. Connective tissue disease varies between person to person. It is not a black and white condition. Some people can live with it and not be completely fine, but they can function normally as an adult. Myself, I deal with it quite severely. Like I mentioned earlier, I am a wheelchair user, not just from these conditions, from other things as well. But this mainly is what has caused my legs to not work correctly. I have a lot of sort of nerve issues with the bottoms of my legs and my feet, so I don't quite feel them properly, so I run the risk of obviously hurting them. With walking, I can't really feel them properly, so I tend to walk quite flat-footed and heavily, which obviously can cause me to trip. And obviously the main thing is it causes me a lot of pain just to walk around generally as it is. So although I can walk for short distances, a lot of the time I'll choose not to, because I can make that choice. So obviously to help myself, I would much rather be comfortable and use my wheelchair to help me get around than put myself through unnecessary pain just because I'm bothered about what other people are thinking about me. And being an ambulatory wheelchair user in itself is a very hard thing to do. It comes with a lot of judgment. A lot of people will think that you are not necessarily a fraud, but they won't believe what you're going through. They'll think that you're doing it for attention, because people automatically think that people that use a wheelchair are paralysed, and that's not true. Maybe a large percentage of the community, in the wheelchair community, may be paralysed or have some sort of spinal cord injury which causes them to have to use a wheelchair. But there's also this other massive part of the community, people that have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, people that have a condition called POTS, which causes a lot of fainting, which is another thing that I have. People that use it just to be comfortable and to be able to do the day-to-day things. I can't go and do a food shop without using my wheelchair. I couldn't go to the post office, I couldn't go to the bank, I couldn't go out and see my friends, I couldn't work my full-time job without that wheelchair. But then again, you have to make the effort to do all of these things and take all of these things that you had, don't take them for granted. Like, if you have the ability to go and do these things, whether it is with a wheelchair, a walking stick, crutches, a walker, splints, braces, the whole shebang, whatever it is, if you can go and do it, just do it. It's so much more worth it than sitting at home feeling sorry for yourself and just not doing anything, because that's going to put you into even more of a pit of depression. I know, I've done it, I've been there. And trust me, laying in bed 24/7 is 110% going to make your joint pain so much worse, because you're not moving them about enough to be able to get that lubrication in there to be able to keep them safe. I've gone slightly off track in this video, so it's more than likely not going to be the video that I wanted it to be. But I just wanted to talk to everybody today in a very relaxed manner to make people feel like they're not alone and that everybody else is going through these issues and that it's okay. You are normal. This is going to get better. Whatever you are going through in your life now is not permanent. I'm going to link a YouTube channel in the comments called Wheels to Walking. This guy, his name is Richard Corbett. He has helped me so much. He has an incomplete spinal cord injury and he is an ambulatory wheelchair user. He can walk slightly. He recovered himself from a spinal cord injury to be able to walk even a couple of steps to be able to get his wheelchair out of his car himself. And he is the most inspirating man I've ever watched on YouTube in my life, and please just go and watch him. He will make you feel so much better, so much more validated. It is part of the community that I love. And he has just brought out a new merch line called Temporary. And I don't think I've ever related to anything more in my life, that everything in life is temporary. You can relate it to anything. The good things, you've just got married, you have a husband, it's temporary. Take that and cherish it. Take every moment as if it's going to be your last. On the other hand, I'm in so much pain I can't go outside today. It's temporary. You are going to feel better. It's not going to last forever. This is just one small part of all of the years of your life that you've got to go. So don't let those things define you. You are not confined to a wheelchair. You're a wheelchair user. It is something that aids you in your already amazing life to be able to go out and achieve so many more things. Connective tissue disease is one of those things that used to stop me. It used to define me, and it used to make me so depressed that I wouldn't do anything with my life. But now, I drive. I've moved 250 miles away from my family with my partner. I have an amazing family up here now. I have a full-time job working for a charity helping other people. And I love it. My life is so much better. I do not see myself as Amy in the wheelchair. I just see myself as Amy. I'm the same person that I always have been. Just because I have to use a wheelchair, it doesn't change the fact of the person who I am. And it doesn't change you either. Do whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable. If that means using your wheelchair, do it. Don't care what other people think. It's not worth it. It's not worth the pain that it can cause you. So don't do it. You're the only one that knows what's best for you. Obviously, apart from your doctors and things like that. So obviously take into consideration what they're saying to you. I'm not a medical professional. So don't take all of these things that I've said as gospel. This is my personal opinion. And this is what I have gone through in my life and my experiences. So obviously take that as what you will. But I just want to help the people out there like me. Whether that's young children who are obviously feeling the symptoms already. Whether it's people my age or even people older than me. To just find these videos and know that they're not alone. And there are other people out there going through the same thing as them. You're not alone. We're all here to support each other. If you'd like to see some more videos on my wheelchair or on my splints or anything like that, or a more in-depth video in sort of days in my life when I'm dealing with things like this, then just comment down below, just let me know. But of course make sure you hit that subscribe button so you'll know when those videos are here. Hopefully I'll be able to post some more videos, but we shall see. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, comment them below. I'll be keeping an eye on it. It's all temporary. Have a good day.